Picture two children, both 8 years old. The first child walks into a toy store, sees something they want, and immediately turns to their parent. "I want this. Buy it for me." The parent says, "Not today." The child's face crumples. A negotiation begins. Promises are made, rules are broken, and 20 minutes later the toy is in the bag. The second child walks into the same store, sees the same toy, checks a small notebook they carry in their pocket, does a quick calculation and says, "I need 3 more weeks of saving." Then they put the toy back and walk out without a single tear. Same age, same desire, completely different relationship with money. One of these children will grow into an adult who cannot stop spending. The other will grow into an adult who builds wealth effortlessly. And the difference between them was not intelligence, not discipline, not willpower. It was one conversation that happened at age 5, a conversation that almost every Japanese parent has with their children and almost no Western parent ever does. That conversation has a name. It is called Okozukai. Okozukai is a Japanese term meaning pocket money or allowance, but it is far more than simply giving children spending money. It is a complete financial education system embedded in Japanese family culture that teaches children the relationship between money, work, choice and consequence from the earliest possible age. Quick frame: in Japan, the Okozukai conversation typically begins around age 5 or 6, not with lectures about savings accounts or compound interest, but with something beautifully simple. A small amount of money, complete ownership, and complete responsibility for what happens to it. The child receives their Okozukai, a fixed amount given weekly or monthly, and from that moment the rules are clear. This money is yours. You decide how to spend it, how to save it, and what to do when it runs out. No top-ups, no advances, no rescue. This is your money and these are the consequences of your choices. And in that single moment of genuine financial ownership, something begins to grow in the child's brain that no classroom lesson, no financial literacy course, and no parenting book can build any other way. The real lived experience of what money actually is. The reason Western children grow into adults who struggle financially is not that they were never taught about money. It is that they were never allowed to experience money. Western parenting culture has an almost universal habit of shielding children from financial consequences. When the child wants something, the parent buys it or explains why not. But in both cases, the child is a passive recipient of financial decisions made entirely by adults. They never feel the specific sting of watching their money disappear after a poor choice. They never feel the specific quiet satisfaction of watching their savings grow towards something they genuinely want. They never develop the internal relationship with delayed gratification that is the single most important financial skill a human being can possess. Research has increasingly focused on how financial literacy is formed, with childhood experiences including parental financial behavior and family discussions about financial decisions recognized as significant influences on individuals' adult financial literacy. Social pilot: Japanese parents do not explain money to their children. They hand it to them and step back. The Okozukai system works through 4 mechanisms that Western financial education almost never replicates. The first is genuine ownership. The money truly belongs to the child, not in theory, not as a teaching exercise. Actually, if they spend it all on candy on Monday, they have no money for the rest of the week. Full stop. The second mechanism is the chokin bako, the Japanese piggy bank that every child receives alongside their first Okozukai. But the Japanese chokin bako is not simply a container for coins. It is the physical representation of a child's future self. Japanese parents sit with their children and help them identify something they truly want, not something small, but something meaningful, something that requires weeks or months of saving. And then they help the child calculate how many Okozukai payments it will take to reach that goal. That calculation, simple arithmetic performed in service of something the child genuinely desires, is the most powerful financial education moment a child can experience, because it makes the abstract concept of delayed gratification concrete, personal, and emotionally meaningful. The third mechanism is the otematsudai system, the Japanese practice of connecting small household contributions to a child's growing sense of responsibility and capability. Japanese children do not receive Okozukai as an entitlement. They receive it in the context of being a contributing member of the family. Not through rigid chore charts or payment per task systems, but through the cultural expectation that everyone in a Japanese household contributes to its functioning, and that a child who receives money is a child who understands that money comes from effort. This connection between effort and reward established before the age of 7, builds an internal model of financial reality that stays with a person for their entire life. The fourth mechanism is mottainai, the Japanese concept of not wasting anything of value, applied to money. Japanese children are taught from the earliest age that spending money carelessly is not simply a financial mistake. It is a kind of disrespect to the effort that earned the money, to the resources it represents, to the future self who will need it. Mottainai turns financial restraint from a sacrifice into a value, and a value once internalized does not require willpower to maintain. Japanese families who follow this system save on average the equivalent of over $200,000 more than comparable Western families across a lifetime. Feed spot, that number is not the result of higher incomes. Japan's average income is not dramatically higher than most Western countries. It is the result of a fundamentally different relationship with money, one that was built not in a bank or a classroom, but at a kitchen table at age 5, when a parent handed their child a small envelope of coins and said, "This is yours. Now decide." So here is what Sodhar wants every parent to do this week. Find an amount, any amount that feels real to your child, not so small it is meaningless, not so large it is overwhelming. Give it to them completely. Help them identify something they truly want that requires saving. Calculate together how long it will take. Buy them a jar or a box to watch their savings grow visibly. And then, and this is the hardest part for Western parents, do not rescue them when they make poor choices. Let them spend it all. Let them feel the empty pocket at the end of the week. Because that feeling, that specific, uncomfortable, clarifying feeling of having nothing left, is worth more than any financial lesson you could ever give them. That is Okozukai. That is what Japanese parents have always known. And the savings account your child will have at 30 will be the proof.